Good evening, race fans. Welcome back. It is that time of the week. Once again, it's another round of full throttle action with the Alliance Sim Racing V8 Supercars Series. Season 4, Round 4 brings us to the historic heart of British motorsport, Donington Park, nestled in the rolling hills of Leicestershire. This legendary circuit has seen everything from touring car titans to Grand Prix heroes. Most notably, this of course was the scene of Ayrton Senna's Lap of the Gods in 1993, where he went from P5 to P1 during the European Grand Prix in just one lap. It's still one of the most iconic laps in F1 history, but of course tonight it is time for the Gen 3 Supercars to leave their mark in history here at this amazing circuit. Get ready, of course, for high-speed commitment through the Craner curves, some late lunges, I'm sure, into the old hairpin, and as always, wheel-to-wheel mayhem through the chicane, because if there is one thing we know, this track never disappoints. Joining me in the booth, as always, the one and only Josh Harris. Josh, welcome back. First of all, if there's ever a place where legends are made and races are won or lost in a heartbeat, it's right here in Donington, and as always, it's turned on that beautiful British weather for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely has. Good evening, Jared. Good evening to everyone out there watching. And thank you for coming along. I couldn't agree more, Jared. The little weather prompt we've got up there on screen indicating that it's clear skies. I can tell you now the sun may be out, but the track is wet. And we are expecting some patchy showers throughout all of this evening. So I'm going to be very interested to see how things go tonight, Jared. You and I were just chatting off air, and I described this track as what I would call quintessentially British, undulating, but a lot of rolling corners, mid to high speed stuff. Not a huge amount of braking required here at Donington Park, Jared. So we know from our experience in these Gen 3 supercars that mid to high speed corners is not where they excel. A real lack of downforce means that these things are hard to accelerate and turn at the same time. These cars are definitely most at home in corners where your turns are short and sharp, things like street tracks, and Donington Park couldn't be further from what I would consider to be the bread and butter of a Gen 3 supercar. Throw in a little bit of rain, make it a genuine one-line track, and who is to say what's going to happen tonight, Jared? I think that the racing is going to be exciting for a number of reasons, and I personally can't wait to get it started.
Absolutely, and totally agree. You know, this track doesn't suit the Gen 3 supercars at the best of times. With that bit of extra moisture on the track, it is really going to challenge the drivers tonight. The race format a little different again this evening. 2 equal length races, both 25 laps. Both races a 50% fuel capacity limit, and both races requiring 1 compulsory pit stop somewhere in that 25 laps. So the opportunity here for drivers to test a strategy in race 1 and adapt it for race 2 is of course there, but we will have to wait and see just who puts that to best effect here this evening as we do get underway with round number 4. Let's have a look at the standings before we go and check out some of the qualifying action, and as we reach ever so quickly towards the midway point of the season, Matt Vanderkraan remains on top of the championship standings after round 3, 861 points, establishing himself reasonably comfortably ahead of Jamie Dyke, but Jason Spriggs, Jamie McKnight, Dean Logsdale all still in the hunt. Damien Cairns, Mark Point in there as well was Brian Minogue, and then David Coleman and Anthony Weismar rounding out the top 10, where it does start to get a bit further separated from the top end of town. But at this stage, it's really looking like all Vanderkraan and Dyke. But that said, Donington Park in the wet, a real opportunity for an upset here tonight, I suspect, Josh.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Jared. I think that water is the great equaliser. So, you know, opens the opportunity for more people to have a really good result, and of course, it also opens up the opportunity for more people to make mistakes. But it's worth noting, I guess, that you know, the cream has a way to always rise to the top, and you're right, it has been a lot of Jamie Dyke and Matt Vanderkraan this season, but I think that it's interesting to see some new names in this series, and certainly some new, you know, challenges. And I think that for the rest of the season, we saw last week, Jared, I would suggest that Matt Vanderkraan has his work cut out for him for the rest of this season.
And we can see that already in qualifying here, as the drivers are out on their 3 lone laps for tonight's qualifying session. Matt van der Kraan, uncharacteristically, sitting in P10 right now, so really struggling to come to grips with the water on track. You can see the sun is out for now, but certainly plenty of puddles left around the track, despite the amount of laps that these drivers have been putting in to try and get it all cleared. So there's certainly plenty of moisture still out there, and that is really going to affect things. It'll be interesting to see what happens if we don't get a bit more rain come through, because the track temp reasonably warm, mid 30 degrees, so it's going to be enough to really start clearing some of that water. And it may actually play into the strategies that we see tonight as these drivers do attempt to negotiate this track. Who's to say that we may not actually have some changing of tyre compounds during that compulsory pit stop? It's all going to depend on the weather tonight, really, isn't it?
It is, and it's going to be interesting to see how our drivers, undertake this challenge of intermittent rain. I'm very interested to see whether anyone is bold enough on a gamble, whether that be to get onto a slick on a drying track, or potentially to stay really long and just desperately wait for that rain potentially to come. I am frantically working in the background, Jared, to do a little bit of math associated with our fuel capacities and our fuel burn. So I will hopefully, by the start of the race, have an understanding of what it looks like and how many laps these guys are going to be able to do before they absolutely have to come in. The need to change tyres tonight, though, on a changing track surface is going to be one of the big stories for us to follow.
Absolutely. We're on board now with Jack Anderson as he makes his way around the track, and it gives you a really good view of some of the just patches of water that are still left out there these drivers are going to have to negotiate, and a couple of them at some really key apexes. That's going to really upset these cars, especially if the drivers are out on slicks. It'll be interesting to see who does go out on what sort of compound this evening, and we may see a bit of difference, but the track's certainly starting to dry up as Anderson makes his way around for his third lap, looking to improve his time. These chicanes, have a look at the amount of water, though, that's collected in that series of S's there. It's going to prove, I suspect, one of the hot spots tonight for cars coming together, because a lot of the rest of this track is already starting to dry out. There's still a lot of water left sitting there right at the apex points of that chicane. So look, we'll have to wait and see, but that is a lap around Donington Park, courtesy of Jack Anderson, and you've got to say he's looking fairly comfortable, although not particularly quick this evening compared to a lot of the other drivers.
Yeah, he is, and I think that a big part of tonight, as we do see Jack jump up to 12th, so certainly not right at the top of the standings, but nicely towards the front half, or in the front half, I should say, Jared. I think that one of the things tonight is a lot of these drivers will be really focusing on making sure that they can safely navigate this track. It's one thing to be fast across one lap, it's a different thing to be consistent across 25, and we're seeing it's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 35 to 40 minutes, depending on things like safety cars. That's a pretty long time that these guys need to be on track dealing with these conditions. No point putting yourself on the front row if you don't hold the necessary skills to stay there.
Absolutely. As we see Troy Sipple coming around in the Tint Solutions Quantum Racing entry, looking to improve his time, and from 29th jumps up to 25th, so small improvement. It's not going to take him all the way to the front as he slides it to a stop there at the end of that lap. I suspect he is pretty done with all of that, honestly. But that is qualifying done. Some of these drivers not getting in as many laps as they probably would have liked. But that is the nature of this track, particularly when you're trying to get your head around some of it. Let's take a look at how they're going to line up here for race number 1. And Anthony Weismer takes pole, a fantastic lap there, puts himself alongside Wayne Walker, who is almost 2/10 further back after qualifying. Mark Poynton and Dean Logsdale on the second row, then John Latham and Damien Cairns. Brian Minogue and David Coleman behind them. Matt van der Kraan finishes up in 9th with second place sitter in the championship, Jamie Dyke, in 10th. So they're both going to have to work pretty hard from row number 5. Alex Kidas and Scott Rankin, 11th and 12th. Further back, Jack Anderson and Jim Caparonis with Mick Clifton and Damon Fisher. Then behind them, Jamie McKnight and Michael Stewart ahead of James Hardy and Jason Spriggs. Rick Varga and Peter Sattler from Angry Birds on the 11th row ahead of Andrew Hoffman and Jeff Arnold. As we take a look further back, Troy Sipple and Johnny Rowe, 25th and 26th respectively, ahead of Michael Power and Todd Martin. Jordan Ferguson, hopefully he's feeling a little bit at home here, back in ye old Britain, alongside Scott McCune rounding out the 30. Then Andrew Johnston and David Logsdale with Craig Rose and Darren Walden making up the 34 drivers that have entered here for race number 1. G'day in the chat, hope you're all doing well. We're getting ready to go racing here tonight at Donington Park. And really now it's just a question of how long until we're ready to go with starters' orders. The cars all lined up and waiting on the track at the moment as we wait to go down to the starters box to get us underway. A few drivers just starting to get their cars onto the grid now. Josh, a very unusual qualifying session, you've got to say. I was expecting to see the likes of Anna and Jamie Dyke a little bit further up. Maybe just taking it a little easy in these conditions to make sure they end up at the right end of the field to start with. But it is a question you've got to ask as to just how that's going to pan out for them across race number 1. We are getting ready to go underway. We're under starters orders already. As we wait for the lights, the revs come up. And we are off the track, looking beautifully dry at this point. Still a little bit of spray off some of those tyres though, so a little walk to do. Anthony Weissman gets a fantastic start as we make our way down towards turn 1. This will be the telling corner to see if we do make it through cleanly here. These drivers, of course, all very experienced, but not as much time spent in wet conditions this season as perhaps they would have liked in terms of practice. Right now, Anthony Weissman and Wayne Walker out in front. The 2 Accelerate Sim Racing entries already starting to open up a gap on the field as we come down through Old Hairpin for the first time on the way towards Starkey's Bridge. And you've got to say, Josh, at this point, everyone off very, very cleanly, almost a little conservative, but you see them going side by side as they come through Starkey's Bridge, looking to challenge that. That is Dean Logsdale, I think, getting a big slide on. Has looked to pull it back in. I have no idea how he's managed to hold on to that. Was it actually David Fisher further back? I've got no idea how he's managed to hang on to that and actually recover it. That was phenomenal driving.
It was definitely one of the AJR cars, and Dean Logsdale was actually a name that I was going to bring to your attention if we got a chance before, Jared. Out of the top 5 in our championship hunt, Dean absolutely had the best of the qualifying, although he is now back to 6th position and really at the front of this huge train of cars as we do see the guys in the mid-pack really start to bunch up. What I can tell you right here, Jared, is if there's any car that you want to be in, it's one of the first 3. It's not a huge amount of spray being thrown up, but it becomes incredibly difficult to race in these cars when you're anywhere in that spray, and certainly being tucked in behind a car in front. As we see a car off in the background doing their best Jim's mowing impersonation. We're not 100% sure who that was, but what I can tell you as we come to the end of lap 1, potentially put the preemptive commentator's curse on Dean Logsdale. He has had a shocking first lap, down 6 positions to 10. As we do jump back and have a bit of a look now.
It's Jeff Arnold and James Hardy coming together in the S's.
Yeah, Jeff Arnold being spun around, unfortunately, and it did look like as we cut to that replay, Joe, potentially a little bit more argy-bargy at the back end of the first lap, but unfortunately for our championship contenders, all of them currently buried, and it's going to be fantastic to see how they go over the next 25 laps. For those of you playing along at home, it does appear from my math that approximately 19 laps is the most that we'll get out of our capped fuel tank tonight. So these guys are going to have somewhere in the vicinity of 19 laps, Jared, to decide what is the appropriate time to switch across to dry tyres as this track continues to dry out, no doubt.
Absolutely. As we take a look at the compounds now, and you'll see there's only a couple of drivers that have risked the start on slicks. Tim Lawson asking the question in the chat, and good evening to Wayne Sanderson, and of course our former PRA driver joining us again here tonight, as well as Scott back again with all of the all of the best puns that he can come up with. Mark Poynton, one of the drivers who started on the dry compound, and so far certainly not paying dividends, down 9 positions from where he started. Now, whether that's because he got a little bit caught up in traffic or whether he is struggling with the lap times is another thing altogether, but well off the pace at this stage, although gaining back a couple here, and we can see that is Damien Cairns, who's coming around at the front of the pack there, so he's going to rejoin and try and get up and running again. So keep your eye on Mark Poynton, because he's already on that dry compound. If this track does start to dry out a little faster, look for him to make the most of it. The other on dry is Dean Logsdale, and you've got to wonder if that's contributed to that big slide that we saw earlier, Josh.
Not only the big slide, but also a tumble down the position. So Dean has gone backwards at a rapid rate of knots in 2 laps. He's down 11 positions. We know that Dean has been incredibly fast this season, so he is going to be banking on this track drying out incredibly quickly, and you know, he's being able to capitalise on the dry line as it comes out. Will it pay off? Not 100% sure, but we'll see how we go over the rest of this race, no doubt. Although right now we are having a look at the battle for 5th. Jamie Dyke, once again, the centre of our attention and absolutely involved in a battle. He has quite a train forming up behind him. How is Jamie going to go tonight? It is to be seen. I'm certainly excited to see how he goes against Matt Vanderkraan as we do move to a different style of circuit to what we've been racing on here at ASR, Jared.
Absolutely, and you can see already, you know, we did talk about Vanderkraan and Jamie Dyke having a bit of a disappointing qualifying result. Certainly not reflective of how they're going. Both of them up 5 positions to be sitting in 4th and 5th. So they are on the move and taking Scott Rankin with them, who is right in this pack. He's up 6 positions into P6. Further back, Jamie McKnight and Michael Stewart, will go back and we'll take a look as they round the final turn. Both of these drivers up 7 to 10th and 11th respectively, so certainly a bunch of drivers that are making their way through the pack. Damien Cairns about to pass Dean Logsdale by the look of things, and you know, Logsdale probably regretting at this point taking the gamble on the slicks. He's going to be hoping that that dry line really starts to turn in his favour very, very soon, because he's going to need a lot more pace than he's currently got if he wants to start to regather the front of this field. Scott Rankin has gone well off the track. You see him sliding through the grass there just as we get to Starkey's Bridge. He's rejoined and is going to try and get underway before this pack catches up to him. Jamie McKnight right on his tail now, and Michael Stewart will be looking to try and get past as well if McKnight does make the move. Look, it's one of those things with the wet tyres, you're still not going to have enough grip to stay on at high speeds here in the Gen3s, are you?
Being on, it's pretty interesting though, Jared. I was suitably surprised by the drivability of these cars in the wet, as it looks like another Team AJR car off just up in front of these guys. But yeah, Jared, I found that these cars were more drivable than I had expected. So these guys will definitely be able to still push. This track is going to be challenging though. It's going to be appearing to be wetter than maybe it otherwise is. In some spots, it will be appearing to be drier than it otherwise is in some spots. It's all part of this iRacing rain model, and just getting used to exactly what the different looks of the track are giving you. It's something that I've found very difficult, Jared. Is just getting my head around how much grip different parts of the track offer. You can see there as you come down the straight, it looks like the track in the centre is dry compared to the outside, but we still see that spray coming off the tyres. And the general rule of thumb, Jared, if there's enough water to generate spray, there's enough water to be on wet tyres. Absolutely, and you can see even from the roof cam on Scott Rankin's car right now, it does look initially fairly dry, but just around the edges of the track you see still a number of puddles, so there's going to be plenty of water still on that asphalt, and these drivers are going to have to be very, very careful as they negotiate that, because if they hit a puddle at too much of a steering input, it's going to be immediate understeer, and you saw that already with Rankin flying off the track earlier. He's managed to regather though, maintaining his position at the moment in P9. But of course McKnight, Stewart and Caperonis all right on his tail. A little further up, David Coleman has caught up to Alex Kiddas from Old Mate and Sons, right on the back of him as they make their way through the S's
I still can't decide whether to call it S's or a chicane. It's a little bit of both, really, isn't it? But they are coming down very, very quickly to Melbourne Hairpin, and deep under brakes there from Kitas. I think a little late on it and maybe just locking the wheels up, slides into Latham, and David Coleman stuck behind both of them for the moment. They're going to be side by side. Coleman takes a big look up the inside as we make our way through Goddard's, and manages to negotiate just getting past Kitas as they make the run down. Now he's going to find himself on the outside on the way down to turn 1. This is Redgate, and of course John Latham feeling a little more comfortable right now, not having someone alongside him as they do enter this. These drivers not getting a lot of experience in the wet so far this season, and you've got to say it's paying off for the two drivers out in front, Anthony Weismer and Wayne Walker. The Accelerate Sim Racing entries starting to open up a massive gap on the rest of the field.
Yeah, they are, and it's I think either the fruits of quite a lot of practice, or just some natural innate ability when it comes to car control. We do see in all disciplines of racing, Jared, there are just people that adapt to it so much better than others. So wouldn't be surprised if it's a mix of both. And those guys out the front, whilst I made reference just a couple of laps ago that these are reasonably easy to drive in the rain, there's no car that's easy to race in the rain, and reasonably easy to drive. Certainly doesn't mean that Weisman and Walker out the front aren't doing a fantastic job, and no doubt if we do get to talk to them at the end of this race, there'll be plenty of stories about narrow escapes and lucky catches and things like that, Jared, because there is no one getting around this track tonight thinking that things are particularly easy.
Anthony Weisman are making it look very easy right now, sitting at 139.7. Wayne Walker at 139.9. Jamie Dyke now into the 139s as well with the 139.76, so he's looking to make a move closer and closer to the front of this pack. We're just keeping our eye here on the battle for 24th between Johnston, Ferguson and Arnold as they swap positions over and over again throughout this lap. We did have a question earlier in the chat as to where Andrew Hoffman was at the moment. He is just a little further ahead with Mick Clifton on his tail, so they're on their way down the main straight. You can see in the background the battle we were watching just a little earlier. Scott Rankin's come in to make his compulsory pit stop, and we'll see if he does swap the tyres over. It looks like he has actually come out with the dry compound, so he's made his compulsory pit stop, and he is on his way back out on track with the dry tyres. Obviously feels that it's reached the crossover point here, so he'll be looking to see what he can do. The remainder of the field still on wets for the moment, with the exception of the couple that we called out earlier. We'll have to wait and see what comes from these pit stops. Just in terms of the weather itself, we'll have to take a look at the forecast when I get a moment, just to see what's on the way. But the skies do appear to be clearing up for us, so these drivers may just have the benefit of a dry race too, but it's a little way off yet before we get too excited about that.
Yeah, it is, Jared. And I wouldn't say that we've reached the crossover point just yet, in my opinion, but certainly we are seeing a drying track. It is absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree with the amount of people doing their fastest lap on the last lap, and I can tell you that Mark Poynton on a dry tyre did a 41.2, which is certainly wasn't the fastest lap out there last lap, but it was far, far closer to what the fast guys on the wet tyres are doing. So we are edging ever so slightly closer, and if you do have a reason to be coming in, it's absolutely the right thing to do to swap tyres, as we see Dean Logsdale there, no doubt affected there by his dry tyres as well. So Dean is no doubt trying to make some moves, and as he becomes faster and faster, it's going to be the challenge of being one of the fast or first cars out, Jared, on a dry tyre, is that it's very easy to catch someone. It's a totally different story once you have caught them to be able to pass them, because of course to pass someone you have to move out into the wet line. What I can tell you, it has just flashed up on our screen, fastest lap of the race, Dean Logsdale happens to be on dry tyres, Jared, so we have definitely reached that crossover point. Challenge now is to see who pits and when do they change their tyres. I'm really interested Jared, I noted that the required time for your pits being lap 20, based on your fuel numbers, you've only got to take 5 litres of fuel, Jared. It's somewhere in the vicinity of 10 seconds worth of stop time. Dean Logsdale may have gone out on dry tyres with the intention of just taking a splash and dash, no need to put tyres on, and keeping those warm, dry tyres on so that he gains a few seconds there. We have started to see him move forward ever so slightly, and I'm very interested to see whether he is able to make this alternate strategy work for him.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be... look, again, if it comes off, it's going to be a phenomenal strategic choice. Absolutely. We're just keeping an eye on Jay McKnight is in the pits right now, and he's just entered his pit box. I'm just keeping an eye on the compound. He has just switched over to the dry as well. So unsurprisingly, we're starting to see drivers switching to that dry compound as they come in for their pit stops. You've got Peter Sattler in at the moment from Angry Birds, and I suspect we'll see him make the same change as well. Jay McKnight, a fairly long stop, 25.9 seconds. So maybe taking on quite a lot of fuel there. Maybe started a little light on just to make sure that the stop was worth it. It's hard to say, but you can see now David Coleman starting to really put the hammer down as he makes his way past John Latham. They're side by side. Unfortunately, Coleman on the wrong side on the way into the S's. It's going to be very close. Cuts that corner. Will he get a slowdown? Is he going to have to give a little bit of that time back, I wonder? Scott McCune just setting a 1:37.855 on the dry tyre. We are well and truly better off on the slicks right now, ladies and gents. Those times coming from way further back in the field. Scott McCune in 30th, just setting the fastest lap of the race so far. And Anthony Weismer is in, so he'll be looking to switch over to the dry tyres and get back out there. And let's see what he can do on a nice, fresh set of rubber. And David Coleman on his way in as well. So these drivers definitely deciding that this is about the time to head on in. You can see a lot of drivers now starting to make the move in. Wayne Walker's still out there. Wondering if this might be a bit of team strategy here, Josh. They've had a bit of a chat as they've been making their way around. He's decided to try and extend a few extra laps and just give them a bit of separation between the teammates to see what they can come up with. Dean Logsdale at 36.2, so the dry tyres now much quicker all of a sudden than the wet tyres, and it's amazing how quickly the track evolves to favour that dry compound.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and it's such a rapid shift. You've really got to make the most of it. I'm still yet to see whether the starting on the dry tyre is the right strategy. Obviously, Dean and Mark Poynton both lost such a huge amount of time in those early laps, but they are rapidly taking those positions back. I think that we saw Dean drop as far down as about 17th or 18th position, and he's now all the way back to 10th. Obviously, some of that will be pits, but some of that is just genuinely fast driving. He is now, not far off the back of Anthony Weismer. In reality, only 1.8 seconds off the back of Weismer on warm tyres. I expect that he's going to drive up to the back of him pretty quick, and that shows you that obviously Dean's got to go through the pits still. But if Dean can continue to put in fast laps and potentially has a significantly shorter stop due to not needing to take tyres, this could be a masterstroke. And I think, Jared, that a pass mark for Dean, given that he started in 4th position, anywhere around the top 6, I reckon, at the finish would be what we'd consider a pass for this strategy. If you can make a bold strategy choice and come in within a couple of positions of where you started, I think that it was always worth it, because the thing with bold strategy choices is you can either be hero or zero. So, a net result of not much difference from your starting position, I think that Dean will be happy with that at the end of the day if he can pull it off.
Something I've just noticed, Josh, I don't know if you've just seen it as well, but Anthony Weismer made his pit stop. He's back out on wets. I have to question whether that's a mistake there and he's forgotten to change the compound on the way into the pits, because he's made his stop and he's come back out on wet tyres. So whether he thinks there's more rain on the way or he's just forgotten to change the compound there, if he's forgotten to change it, he will be fuming in that car, because Logsdale is about to absolutely waltz past him.
Yeah, that's a when we talk about
Slight
strategies making you hero or zero, that has the potential to make Weisma a zero, unfortunately. And for his sake, I hope that he knows something that we don't, because if he has been, leading by some 10 seconds over third place and has made a simple error and forgot to change the compound, that is going to be absolutely devastating for him. But as you said, Dean Logsdale, he is absolutely on the march. It will be very interesting to see how their lap times compare. But, for context, we are seeing cars on wets doing lap times in the vicinity of a low 1 minute 40, and our guys on dries doing 1 minute 34s. There is a huge amount of time being able to be gained by being on a slick at the moment. We did see Logsdale in. I'm going to keep an eye on that, Jared, and see whether his pit is significantly shorter than everyone else's. I can tell you, if I can catch up with him as he tumbles down the order.
It's about the same, 16 odd seconds in the box, so he's taken a bit of fuel and some tyres there. And look, I suspect he's taken tyres anyway, and why wouldn't you really at this point of the race? We're about the halfway point.
A 16-second lap, a 16-second stop, Jared. I can be pretty confident that he's taking tyres. Obviously, my quick math that I did before wasn't 100% on the money, which is not surprising if you look at my education history. But the guys have absolutely got that nailed, and it's somewhere on the money. It's definitely not the slowest stop tonight, that's for sure.
Now, Mark Poynton still needs to come in for his stop, as does Alex Kiedis. Mark Poynton on the dry tyres. So at this stage, you'd have to think that Poynton has probably missed the opportunity to try and make up for starting on the dry tyre. Now that everyone has changed over, he's going to really struggle to open up enough of a gap over the likes of Wayne Walker, who's only about 4 seconds behind. He's going to have to really, really work at this to get in and out of the pits anywhere near quickly enough to stay in contention for the top spots. But he is about to come past the Old Mate and Sons entry of Kiedis on the way into turn one. Wayne Walker setting a 1-2-3-2. They've both gone very, very deep. There's still perhaps a little more moisture on the track than they anticipated. Although Kiedis on the wet tyres shouldn't have had too much in the way of an issue. And here comes Wayne Walker steaming in now into a P3 right on the tail of Poynton. So he is following up that very, very quick lap by doing everything he can to get back out in front of the field. Anthony Weisma, he's going to be rather vocal in that cockpit right now, I suspect.
Yeah, and I was just having a look at his lap time. He's circulating, somewhere in the 1 minute 36s, but that's on a pretty new tyre, as we do now.
Vigar goes sideways through the final turn.
That's unfortunate that we and potentially a rejoin there for the stewards to look at. That was close at best, Jared. But my point that I was just making before about Weisma, unfortunately, he's lapping in the 36s as opposed to the 33s. But it's worth noting that that's on a fresh set of tyres. Even wet tyres do give you the benefit of a new tyre being faster, but he will be absolutely destroying those things given that this is a drying track. So he will see a far greater drop off of pace compared to everyone else. And we do now see Wayne Walker all the way up into the front. So Poynton and Kiedis now in the pits.
And Poynton spun it around on the pit entry. He's
and Weisma back in the pits as well, Jared.
Yeah, look, not surprised to see that. Just noted Anthony Weisma on his way in to probably swap over to those dry tyres. What on earth has happened to Mark Poynton getting spun around on the way into pit lane? We'll go back and take a look at that in just a moment. Right now, though, Wayne Walker behind the safety car. So a safety car called there. I'm not sure what's happened to bring that out, but we have the safety car out on track now, and Wayne Walker sitting behind that. So a perfect time for Weisma to come in and get those tyres swapped over. Absolutely. We're going to go and take a look back, see if we can find what the issue may be. And it looks as though had Rick Vigar's incident that we saw. Nathan Allen in the 24/7 Sim Services safety car has come out on track not too long after that. So whether there was some concern that perhaps Vigar wasn't going to be able to get moving again was actually hung up on the curbing. Go back, David Logsdale's run off track as well. And we'll just see, David Logsdale has come off track in a big cruiser. That'll probably be something to do with it, I suspect. We'll see if he's managed to get it going again, but I reckon that could be the reason. Look at how much he's dragging that front left. Absolutely has destroyed the steering on that front left, and I reckon that could well be why we have the safety car out on track now. We will take a look, and it does look like David Logsdale is back in the pits or on his way to the pits at the moment. Not real good for the steering components hitting a wall at that sort of angle and that sort of speed.
No, it's not good at all. That's one way to put it, Jared. I like your optimism there. Just having a bit of a look, Anthony Weismar down into 10th, so that second pit stop hasn't cost him as much as you may have imagined, but certainly the need to come through at all a second time. I would suspect, Jared, that Anthony took the opportunity purely based on the fact that he heard the safety car call. I can't imagine that it would have made sense for any other reason. But it's done now. He's been able to make that stop and get back out, and hopefully he can make up a couple of positions. He's right there with Dean. We know that Dean's going to be on a bit of a mission. Dean's pretty quick this season, so he'll be trying to move forward. The call out that I'll make, Jamie Dyke. Pushed his way all the way up to second. Matt Vanderkram in fourth. So, as I said at the start, Jared, doesn't really matter where you qualify. It's all about racing clean, and somehow the cream always rising to the top. I love a good championship scrap, and to once again see those guys not only close but right together at the top of the table is fantastic. And while Mark Poynton there, Jared, that is a case of trying to. He may get done for that too. Yeah, a bit of contact with Theismann there is not going to be smiled upon, I'm sure, by the stewards. Race control letting us know the safety car is coming in on this lap, so we will wait as they make their way around. But yeah, I did want to go back and catch a look at that. Really, just hard braking to get the pace off. Sometimes not the right call. It's a bit rough. It's so easy, Jared, to forget that the pit lane is not in the same condition as the racetrack. So obviously, as our cars drive around, the tyres are hot, the speeds are up. There's plenty of opportunity to create spray, and as much as spray's annoying, it's actually how the track drives, Jared. You get the water up off the surface, get it blown away. And the way that the track dries out so well is that there's 30 cars whipping around it as fast as they possibly can, and it's so easy as a driver to forget that when you arrive at the pit lane, it's still going to be wet. It doesn't have people driving on it very often at all, and so such an easy mistake there that was made by Poynton, and it's really such a shame to see for him because it's in reality, Jared, that was probably on a percentage scale such a small mistake, but the consequences are so big when it comes to putting a car in the fence in the pit lane. Not only does that cost you a huge amount of time, but as we saw, potentially a flick spin in the pit lane that needs to be looked at, because it certainly came pretty close to causing more carnage. That it did. Hey, speaking of small mistakes, Anthony Weismar. God, struggling tonight, I tell you. Anthony Weismar in some company by the look of things. He's not alone. Alex Kiedis came in for his stop at about the same time, has come back out on wet tyres. Todd Martin's back out after his stop on wet tyres. Andrew Johnston back out after his stop on wet tyres in P24. So certainly something that these drivers can overlook very, very easily when you get these changing conditions. And look, probably a good lesson to us all to make sure we check this sort of stuff out well before getting into the pit lane, because it's certainly going to have an impact on a few of their races from here on in. Oh no! David Logsdale has spun it on the wave by. That's probably not what he had in mind, I reckon. No, and so easy to do. So David Logsdale there, been given the wave by, trying to do the right thing, and and get away from the field as fast as he possibly can. And unfortunately, just cold tyres and, made such a simple mistake. It's heartbreaking for him. One thing that I will note, Jared, as we go back to racing, for those of our viewers who may have had an eagle eye, one of our names missing on qualifying, Spriggs, did not make the start of this race due to some hardware issues I have just spotted in the Discord. So unfortunately, one of our championship contenders is sitting tonight out with some pretty significant hardware problems.
Yeah, it does happen though, doesn't it? It's probably the closest thing you get to car malfunctions and mechanical failures is hardware failures when it comes to sim racing. So just another way that this is not a game, this is simulation, and we see these guys getting underway very quickly, and Wayne Walker and Jamie Dyke already starting to open up that gap. But we have a sizable little battle pack in chasing down Matt Vanderkrant for fourth. Brian Minogue up in front of this group as well. This is what we like to see from the Gen 3s. Scott Rankin right in amongst us. He's got John Latham and Jamie McKnight right on his tail. Brian Minogue doing everything he can to hold off Matt Vanderkrant as we come down to the S's once again. And it's look, this is what we want to see. Second half of the race, full on sprint, some nice trains of supercars going on here. And still just a little bit of water on the track. You can see just the slightest bit of spray. And for drivers like David Coleman taking that massive dive up the inside of the Melbourne hairpin, he's capitalised there, but he's going to have to be very, very careful to pick his corner and make sure he doesn't try and do that where it's a little too damp, because that is a surefire way to wipe yourself out and the car in front. He's made it work, though, up into fifth place, right behind Matt Vanderkrant, and Scott Rankin can only hold on to the back as we go around again, starting on the lap 18. Wayne Walker out in front of 132.556. Absolutely a stonking lap.
It's a fantastic way to get started after the safety car, no doubt about that. But a huge gap out front as we do quickly jump back to our replay.
Skidas gets a bit of a nudge, and that's beautifully synchronised. I'll give the teammates that. Beautifully synchronised with Alex Kiddison. Is that Jack Anderson next to him? 39 car? No, that is indeed Jack Anderson. Not teammates, but they certainly looked
not teammates. No, first. But it confuses me frequently, Jared, because beautiful looking cars, both very similar colours and very, very easy to confuse. But look, we are back up and running. 7 laps to go after this one, and we really do see our first two cars starting to build that gap, 2.5 or 3 seconds from the leader back to Brian Minogue. And there's a name, Jared, that's new to ASR this season, I believe. Certainly didn't race much last season if he isn't, but has been quietly building all season this year. Brian Minogue's a name that we saw a little bit of in the first couple of rounds, but it's just been quietly flying under the radar. Certainly hasn't come out and stamped his authority like a Jamie Dyke, but fantastic to see him, qualified in 7th and racing up in 3rd. A fantastic opportunity if Brian can keep off the fast charging Matt Vanderkrant from behind. A really good opportunity to snag a podium here.
We're starting to see the truck really drying out now. Wayne Walker and Jamie Dyke out in front, dipping into the 31s now, an 8.4 and a 9.9 respectively. Jamie Dyke up 8 positions, has absolutely made up for his lack of form in qualifying, right up there battling it out with Wayne Walker. Brad asking, is there a Discord or website that you can jump onto? There absolutely is. We will try and get a link for you shortly if you do want to check it out, but bear in mind that the league is at absolute capacity for this season, so you will be waiting until the end of season 4 before we get an opportunity to get on track with some of these guys, because it is a very hot ticket to be out there among the likes of some of the names we do have on track this evening, as we see David Coleman making his way through the S's once again. We're getting closer and closer to the end of race number 1. A couple of black flags coming through. Michael Stewart and Damien Cairns both attracting themselves a black flag, so there'll be some drive-throughs to be served there. We don't know quite why that's happened. All of a sudden, though, Wayne Walker's starting to open the gap. So Jamie Dyke, whether he's just pushed a little too hard on those tyres or just has had a moment, he has all of a sudden dropped back to almost 2 seconds behind Wayne Walker. Walker, though, just setting a huge pace, I think, more than anything. A 1:31.66. He is looking to extend this as quickly as he possibly can. And a pit lane penalty for car number 88 is Damien Cairns. So that is the drive-through that we just saw come through there. And again, race control just updating us there. Car 919 is Michael Stewart, the other black flag that we've just called out. So thank you to race control, keeping us up to date with everything going on. John Latham now on the move, makes his way past Scott Rankin, got much better drive just through Starkey's bridge there. And we are on our way forward once again. Latham looking to move his way into the top 5. David Coleman squarely in his sights. Matt Vanderkraan not too much further up the road. Brian Minogue still doing an amazing job to hold off Vanderkraan, but Vanderkraan is right on his tail, just 4/10 separating them as they make their way down Starkey Straight towards the S's. And look, not in position to make the move this lap, but I know Vanderkraan well enough to know that he is just probing at the moment and looking for weakness in Minogue's drive.
There's no doubt Matt Vanderkraan isn't going to hang around without doing everything he can. Just had a bit of a look through the times though, Jared. Everyone in the pack doing, mid 32s. No other driver out of the 32s at any point tonight, and in fact, a number of drivers who haven't even made it to the 32s yet. And then out the front, Wayne Walker last lap slammed in a 1:31.6, which is just phenomenally faster than what anyone else has done, and he has immediately dropped back to a 32.6. So I don't know, we saw that gap extend over Jamie Dyke, and there is no doubt at all that was a little bit of an anomaly, but that anomaly came by a lap that was a second faster than anyone else that I can find tonight, Jared. So I don't know what he found, but it was impressive. And you can see by the fact that he's backed his times off straight away that either it was half a mistake and whatever he did wasn't necessarily what he meant to do, Jared, or he has realised that he was absolutely pushing, to the absolute extent, and was something that he wasn't prepared to continue doing because it was just going to bring about a crash. Whilst I have been yammering on there though, Jared, we have seen Matt Vanderkraan get in front of Brian Minogue, as we discussed about a lap ago. Absolutely not surprising. Matt Vanderkraan isn't the sort of guy to wait around for an invitation to pass, and we do now see Brian having to deal with the second fishy car of David Coleman all over the back of him as David goes for a bit of a dive down at the hairpin. Can he get it made on the run back to the last corner? He's got good drive out of there. I do expect to see this finished off, but Brian Minogue no doubt will have a lunge into that last corner and do everything that he can to defend his position. The cars go side by side as we do come around. David Coleman now on the ideal inside line, but we see there's just that little bit of water, Jared, right out near the ripple strips, and as soon as Dave Coleman found himself out there, immediately the car was squirrely and didn't want to put the power to the ground. So normality has been restored. Everybody's filed back in the positions that they were, and no doubt Coleman will put his head down and have another go. Scotty Rankin was another person there, Jared, who was just having a bit of a look around, and it looked like maybe he had the opportunity to grab 3 places, couldn't get it done and had to drop back in, and he has immediately found himself over a second off the back of John Latham. So has gone from thinking about moving into 4th position, and now he's suddenly not only in 7th but 6th. Sorry, a second off of 6th place, and has Jamie McKnight all over him. So that's not what Scotty Rankin would have liked to do or liked to see. But we are now back around here. We see Coleman setting himself up for another move. He's taken the most of this lap, Jared, to get himself composed. He gets a run through that chicane, and I think that once again we'll see another dive down here at the hairpin. We do indeed see Coleman get the move done. Is he a little bit more firm this time? He certainly got a far better run through the centre of the corner. So Coleman now has that move made on Minogue, and we now see John Latham start to set himself up. The Shadow Racing car really getting ready to do everything that he can and move forward into the top 6. Brian Minogue still up 2 from his starting position, but really starting to be monstered by the cars around him, and hopefully with only 3 laps to go he can just dig his fingertips in, Jared, and not slip down any further.
We'll go back a lap and take a look at Scott Rankin. Just coming into Redgate turn number 1 here. And I think this is what's happened. He's gone a little bit wide. He's had to be over wide to avoid John Latham. And I think he's just found a bit of water on the outside of the track. You see it there. And that's what's cost him the time and has set him back so far. Just into that puddle and had to slow it right down to keep the car on track. A good choice in the end, because much better to drop a few seconds and maybe a position or 2 than to end up spun around and losing out by 10 or 15 spots. But yeah, it's not a dry track yet, that's for sure. Still plenty of water around the edges, and the drivers have to be really, really aware of that. You can see it's starting to dry up, but still patches everywhere, and still just the slightest hint of spray through some parts of this track as Brian Minogue continues to fend off John Latham. Now, will Latham try the same move here as David Coleman? You'd have to think by this point Minogue's going to go to the inside. He doesn't. He stays out wide, not going defensive just yet, but Latham doesn't make the move through the Melbourne hairpin this time around. David Coleman getting side by side with Matt Vanderkraan as they head towards Goddard's, and this is going to be a huge battle to finish out the last couple of laps here, I'm sure. Wayne Walker very comfortably out in front, Jamie Dyke as well, but still a long way to go for both of these drivers as we see a 20 post-race point penalty for car number 666, which is James Hardy, for an earlier incident.
Dave Coleman here absolutely playing the Fishy Motorsport team game. No doubt Dave Coleman wants those points for himself, Jared, but importantly, he wants those points for Jamie Dyke. So Dave Coleman here, just a little bit of extra incentive. Not only would it be good for his championship, but it helps the team out. So desperately trying to do whatever he can as he does get up the inside. Fantastic run there, maybe ever so slightly a touch on Matt Vanderkraan. Just unsettled the car a little bit, but Coleman is able to move through and steal that second or that third spot on the podium. So we now have 2 Fishy Motorsport cars up the front, and we see Coleman just starting to stamp his authority here. Not a huge amount of what I would call outright pace, Jared, but certainly faster than Matt Vanderkraan was on that last lap. And I'm a little bit surprised, Jared, by every time I have a look at the time, the lap times that we're seeing, Matt Vanderkraan not setting the leaderboard alight like we might have expected, and maybe just struggling in these conditions ever so slightly. So, these are tricky conditions, and Matt Vanderkraan maybe doesn't have the usual confidence under him that he does in the dry, and just taking the opportunity to make sure that he doesn't fall off the track, because certainly 4th place at the moment is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not the sort of drive that we would expect from Matt Vanderkraan, and even that lap where he was battling with Dave Coleman, we see Coleman over a second faster on that lap. So there's no doubt there's something going on with that Angry Birds racing machine. It's not 100% to Matt's liking, and he's doing everything he can. He's 5 spots up from where he started. Definitely nothing to sneeze at, but it's probably not the race that he imagined when he was right up near the front off the back of the safety car, Jared.
Scott Rankin gets through on John Latham, maybe assisted just a little by some lap traffic there. The Team AJR car doing its best to get out of the way, but now Latham has to fend off Jamie McKnight behind him as well. Big moment, Scott Rankin. He is sideways through the S's, just recovers it, but that's going to cost him at least those 2 positions, if not a couple more. Struggling to get it underway as he hits the water again, re-entering the track. That is an awful stroke of luck for Mr. Rankin. Finds himself back in 11th and looking to defend 12th from Peter Sattler now. Really unfortunate, but look, just again, the nature of the track. Sattler around through Melbourne hairpin, just pushing too hard on the exit. Not quite the traction that he needed there. And we are into the final lap. Wayne Walker across the line some time ago and all on his own out in front, looking very, very comfortable. The gap now really opened up through most of that pack that we've seen racing, contesting 4th position for quite some time. As we see, that's David Coleman has gone around. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him, but he's ended up off in the grass and is dropping rapidly. Scott Rankin comes through. David Coleman down to 11th. He's going to lose a few more positions before he manages to get it underway. A horror final lap for the Fishy Motorsports driver. We'll go back and take a look at that shortly, because Matt Vanderkraan now has Brian Minogue closing in on him as well. I have no idea what's happened to Coleman there. We'll have to go back and take another look at that as we get towards the end of the race, but we don't want to miss the end. Here we go. We've got that queued up for you. David Coleman just getting into that same patch of water that we saw Scott Rankin hit, and that's flung him off the track. Horrible, horrible stroke of luck, and certainly something I'm sure he'll learn from for race 2. Not going to want to repeat that one. But right now, Wayne Walker has had it all the way, all to himself, as he makes his way down to Goddard's for the final turn around onto Whitcroft Straight, ready to take the checkered flag here at Donington Park for race 1. Lights up the rear tyres in celebration, and a win to Wayne Walker for race number 1. Jamie Dyke not far behind, crossing the line in second place. He'll be stoked with that. Matt Vanderkraan makes it back, just holding off Minogue for third place, and Minogue closing in on fourth. Jamie McKnight right behind them. Then Mark Poynton. Got to say, a phenomenal drive for Poynton to still end up in sixth place, considering his start on the dry tyre, and yeah, certainly not at all what he would have hoped for out of this race. But all in all, a pretty good recovery. The night, though, belongs to Wayne Walker, up one spot from where he started. Jamie Dyke, though, right behind him, up 8 positions from the start. A phenomenal drive.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a number of really impressive drives throughout that entire field, and you know, Jamie McKnight might have moved forward 12, but you know, Mark Poynton managed his race impeccably when we consider the fact that you know, he was one of only a couple of cars on the dry tyres for that entire race. So he has had a fantastic job as well. Weismer recovering to 8th after, you know, that absolutely devastating need for a second pit stop. So a little bit of a shake-up. But, you know, as usual, we see the front 2 of our championship contention up the front in second and third, and Wayne Walker taking the opportunity to do just a little bit of celebrating. And why wouldn't you when you have had such an emphatic victory? If my memory serves me correctly, Jared, somewhere in the vicinity of 5 seconds when he crossed the line. In these conditions, that is just an absolutely fantastic drive.
Absolutely, it was. As we go and take a look at the results, Wayne Walker taking the win by almost 6 seconds in the end over Jamie Dyke. Then Matt Vanderkraan managing to make his way back to third, Brian Minogue in fourth, and Jamie McKnight in 5th place. Mark Poynton, a great drive, finishing in 6th ahead of John Latham, then Anthony Weismer, Jim Capronis, and Scott Rankin rounding out the top 10. Dean Logsdale managing to hold in there for an 11th position. Mick Clifton and Peter Sattler there. David Coleman, unfortunately, finishing in 14th after that horror start to his final lap. And Michael Stewart in 15th, Rick Vigar in 16th, ahead of Scott McCune and Troy Sipple. We take a look a little further back through the field, and Damien Cairns and Andrew Hoffman rounding out the top 20, almost a minute behind by this point. Then, of course, Jordan Ferguson, James Hardy, and Jack Anderson ahead of Alex Kidas and Todd Martin. You've got to think that Kidas and Martin both impacted by staying out on the wets, and again, an error that they will not be keen to repeat, I am sure. Johnny Rowe in 26th had a late incident that took him back a little further than he'd planned. Andrew Johnston finishing in 27th, and then a number of drivers finishing quite a way back. David Logsdale, Craig Rose, Michael Power, and Jeff Arnold all struggling. Damon Fisher, Jason Spriggs, and Darren Walden all well behind and not really taking much part in tonight's race, you'd have to say.
No, absolutely not. We saw, a couple of incidents there. I did see Jeff Arnold off in the Discord just finding out whether he's able to continue racing tonight. Massively disappointing, Jared, to see a couple of those guys fall afoul of the conditions, but that is motor racing, and I think that's what makes racing in these conditions some of the most fun that you can possibly have, if not being incredibly challenging. It's going to be interesting now, Jared, whether we get some more rain on the forecast as we move towards our second race of the evening. or do we get some beautiful, sunny, dry running? I know for a fact, based on the weather forecast that I read today, that there is definitely showers floating around the entire time. I'm just not sure whether we're going to get any in this second race, or whether we're going to see the guys get the opportunity to run flat out from go to woe based on a beautiful dry track. No matter what though, Jared, we do see a little bit of a shaken up order for the start of the next race, and I think that we've got a few little things to keep our eye on as we see, some people moving through the pack, and maybe some people at the front who up there through some good management in that wet race, and it's going to be interesting to see whether they can stay there in the second one.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break before we get into race 2 and be right back after these words from our major sponsors.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we do bring you back to the English countryside at Donington Park. Our drivers are out and about on their warm-up in between the two races this evening, as we see ourselves getting set for another 25 laps of the English countryside here. We have checked the weather radar whilst we have been away at a small commercial break, and we can confirm that there is absolutely no more precipitation expected tonight. So we do settle in and get ready for some absolutely flat-out racing. For those of you at home, I would suggest that this is a fantastic time to take a comfort break, fix yourself your favourite adult beverage, and strap yourself into your couch, ready to sit back and get ready for what is no doubt going to be an absolutely fantastic feature race tonight. We do now see the warm-up finish up, and we move to looking at our starting grid. Race 1's winner, Wayne Walker, coming off the pole. Jamie Dyke in the other front row position, looking to capitalise on a fantastic Race 1 result. Matt Vanderkraan and Brian Minogue on the second row. Jamie McKnight and Mark Poynton in 5th and 6th, followed by John Latham, Anthony Weismer, Jim Caparonis, who absolutely flew under the radar in the first race, and Scotty Rankin rounding out the top 10. Dean Logsdale looking to make amends for a tough Race 1, and Mark Clifton in 11th and 12th. And as we do move on, we see Peter Sattler and David Coleman, who suffered that last lap crash, coming in 13th and 14th, 15th and 16th, belonging to Michael Stewart and Rick Vigor. Scott McCune, Troy Sipple, Damien Cairns and Andrew Hoffman rounding out the 20. 21 belonging to Jordan Ferguson, who is not having a happy race night at home. James Hardy in 22nd, Jack Anderson in 23rd, who hasn't moved forward like we might have otherwise expected, and Alex Kiedis in 24th. And as we move to the back of the grid, Todd Martin, Johnny Rowe, Andrew Johnson, David Logsdale, Craig Rose, Michael Power, Jeff Arnold, Damon Fisher, Jason Spriggs, who we know won't be joining due to some technical issues, and Darren Walden, who I don't happen to remember being out there. So potentially a couple of cars not going to make the start line tonight, but absolutely here in spirit as we do start to get ready to go back racing. We will start to see our crews gridding up any moment now. They are just taking the very last opportunity to ensure that they are safely strapped in, ready for the start of this race. Jared, I'll just get your thoughts very quickly. Who's the car to watch in this second race?
Oh, look, it's going to be a very different race this time around, isn't it? Because you can see the track has dried up quite a bit between races. So I think it's going to be all systems go on dry tyres here. I can't imagine anyone's going to leave the wets on after race one. I reckon we've probably seen the last of that particular mistake. Given the pace in race one, it's going to be really hard to look past Wayne Walker here. Starting on pole, if he gets a good start, he's going to be very hard to catch. But don't discount Matt van der Kraan. We know that he's very strong here and certainly very capable of pushing his way through. I do wonder as well, Anthony Weismer starting in 8th, what would his race have been had he not accidentally come back out on those wet tyres? And this is going to be a great opportunity for him to prove what he should have delivered in race number 1 by actually going out on the right tyre from the get-go. I reckon that's the few that I'll be keeping my eye on here as we get ready to go racing here in race number 2. 25 more laps ahead of us. We wait now for starters' orders as the last of the cars get onto the grid. Just waiting now on, I believe, Michael Power might be the last to join. We are underway in just a moment. Starter has advised we are going racing, so we wait for the lights. The revs rise and the Gen3 Supercars get set to go. Wayne Walker, a phenomenal start, gets away very, very cleanly. The rest of the pack now looking to hang on to the back of him as we look to go 2-3 wide into turn 1. Does Redgate have the room to allow all of these Supercars through sideways? We've got the fishy car of Jamie McKnight sideways through turn 1. Jim Caparonis getting caught up in that as well. We've had a huge incident further back in the pack. We'll go back and take a look and see who we've got that's caught up in that. That is Mick Clifton. Jim Caparonis also caught in amongst that. And I believe Jamie McKnight has managed to get back underway. He is back into the race pack, but certainly not the start that any of them were hoping for. And we are indeed, I think, lucky to get away without too much incident there. Certainly a much bigger collision than these guys would have been expecting, but going 2 or 3 wide into Redgate there, Josh, you've got to expect that perhaps they're not going to all fit on the way through.
Absolutely not. It's pretty typical of Supercars and their lap 1 jostling. I did notice there when Jamie McKnight was spinning around in the middle of the track, one of the other cars that got caught up in that kerfuffle was none other than the other Fishy Motorsport car of Dave Coleman. So a disappointing start for the Fishy Motorsport crew. Jamie Dyke didn't quite get the start that he wanted and had to make moves immediately to move to the right-hand side of the track and make sure that he blocked Matt van der Kraan from a better start. But as we can now see, Jamie Dyke already has a 1.5 second gap back to Matt van der Kraan. So potentially, whatever those issues were in the first race that I alluded to, with it appearing that Matt van der Kraan wasn't 100% happy with the car underneath him, potentially that's continuing immediately through to race 2, because Dyke, whilst he didn't get the best launch off the line, he has immediately moved to accelerate up the road and attach himself to the back of Wayne Walker. But we do now bring our attention through to Brian Minogue sitting in 5th with Mark Poynton, Latham, Rankin and even Logsdale reasonably close behind. A bit of a train forming up here, no doubt about it. So these guys are going to be keen on the first couple of laps to make sure they can make some moves and move forward. I'll just quickly bring our attention, if I can, Jared, to Anthony Weismer, sitting up in 4th position, just in front of these guys. One of the cars that you immediately called out, Jared, obviously quick in qualifying and was very quick in race 1 until he had the incident where there was a need to change tyres a second time, has immediately sprung forward, up 4 positions into 4th on across the first 2 laps. We do now start to see our guys getting ready to set their second lap time, their first flying lap, and it will be very interesting to see the pace that these guys have got off the bat, as we see Jamie Dyke all over the back of Wayne Walker and looking to make moves early. But as I expected, Anthony Weismer, fastest lap of the race, a 32.2. So I remarked, Jared, last race, that only Wayne Walker got into the 31s everyone else in the low to mid 32s, and already we're seeing a 32.2 on the first flying lap. So that shows you just how much better the track conditions are in this race, and a little bit of time between race 1 and race 2, a bit more sun out on the track, and some genuine dry lines coming out. So the track is fast, and these guys are going to be getting stuck into it. And I tell you now, if there was one car that I don't really feel like being in right now, it is Wayne Walker's. That lime green fishy car is absolutely all over the back. Jamie Dyke is not interested in hanging around much longer, I don't think, and he is looking to make a move. A fantastic run for both cars through the chicane there as we do head down towards Melbourne Hairpin. Just a nice little gap, a bit over 2.5 tenths of a second, meaning that Jamie Dyke wasn't able to put a braking move on, but we just see there absolutely catches up in the middle of the corner, and unfortunately that meant that he couldn't get the power down out of the back of Melbourne Hairpin. And that gap opened up, but we see it, close again. This accordion effect. Jamie Dyke has got a huge amount of entry speed over Wayne Walker, but Wayne Walker doing a fantastic job of managing that off the back of the corner. And we do now see a 32.2 for Wayne Walker, a 32.4 for Jamie Dyke. So these guys very, very closely together, closely matched on speed, and they are no doubt looking to get out of here. We do now jump back quickly to the battle for what I do believe is 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th here. A really nice little battle pack starting to form up, and we are on board here, or we're focusing on John Latham, who is buried right in the middle. Obviously a bit of a gap to Poynton up in front, and then we've got Brian Minogue and John Latham. As we see Minogue here have a little bit of a mistake, and everybody have to check up behind him. I'm not sure whether there was a touch on the way in there, Jared. We might be able to have another bit of a look. But the seas really genuinely parted there for Dean Logsdale, who has come absolutely flying through, and he's up into 6th. So Dean Logsdale up 5 positions in just a couple of laps. As we do now quickly jump back and have a bit of a look. That looks to me like
definitely
potentially just
there.
ever so slightly a bit of a touch on the way in from Brian Minogue. So potentially a penalty inbound for Mr. Minogue there. But we do now see... we see
Coleman's
another
caught
accident.
up again. Peter Sattler as well.
Oh, and potentially a dangerous rejoin there that we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised, Jared, by the way that the fishy car was just propped up there, that if we were to watch that on replay, I think that potentially Coleman might have been interested, and he was doing the right thing there and just waiting for the Angry Birds car to get up and going. We do see Coleman make a big move. Potentially not seen, potentially not quite enough overlap, but unfortunately just a slight tag on the way into the corner.
I don't know there was actually contact there, honestly. I don't think Coleman made contact. I think Sattler's lost it through the turn, and Coleman's just been, unfortunately, in a position where he's had no option but to just stop and wait for Sattler to get himself sorted out and back underway. So that's cost Coleman a lot of positions, as we keep our eye now on Jay McKnight, who has Michael Stewart all over his tail. That is, unfortunately, Dean Logsdale has run off the track, and so after taking full advantage of the error earlier on from I've forgotten who went sideways earlier, but he's taken full advantage and then run off the track and finds himself all the way back down into 12th, so pretty well back where he started this race. And it's going to be one of those sort of races tonight, I suspect, as these guys do start to just settle themselves in. Worth calling out, Anthony Weismar, now out in first position, has gotten past Matt Vanderkraan, and both of these guys starting to open up a couple of seconds on Wayne Walker, you can see in the background there. So it's certainly some pace here in Weismar. Vanderkraan much happier now that he's back in his dry, happy space. I think he's probably cheering in that car to see that the clouds have cleared and this track has really come to him here as he slides it through Hollywood towards the Craner curves. He's doing everything he can to stay in touch with Anthony Weismar, because Weismar is absolutely flying. You wouldn't believe sometimes watching these guys drive the cars that they are on fixed setups, because to have such different performance through some of these corners, it really is all just down to the driver's preference for how they handle the car, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. These are a driver's car, and there's different ways to extract speed. Jared, I did just have to quickly dive out of the commentary booth a second ago. Jamie Dyke down in 5th and Wayne Walker in 3rd. Did we catch what happened to those guys?
I don't think there was I don't think there was an incident there that we saw in particular. It's purely just been the pace of Weismer and Vanderkram. We'll go back and we'll take a look and just see if we.
I did have a quick look at their lap times, Jared. Certainly Wayne Walker did a 1:38. So even if it was a small incident, there's definitely something that's happened. As we do see now here.
Jamie Dyke's gone into Wayne Walker at the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, and I think that what we'll see here is based on the fact that Dyke is now behind Wayne Walker. I expect that Jamie Dyke has pulled up just up here, and we'll see him at some point let Walker through as a redress to just minimise any penalty. And that's a really, that's a disappointing accident there. It's it was a really good quality attempt at a passing manoeuvre, and just unfortunately locked the rears. So a bit of a uncharacteristic mistake there from Jamie Dyke, and I am sure that both Vanderkran and Weismer were not all that disappointed when they saw that in front of them and had the opportunity to go barreling on through into 1st and 2nd. Wayne Walker now down in 3rd, and it's unfortunate to see him there, but if there's anyone that's had the pace tonight to get back to the front, it is definitely Wayne Walker. I've just had a bit of a look at their last lap times, and his car is certainly not damaged, Jared. He is on the move.
Yeah, I think he'll be up and challenging for the top step of the podium again in no time at all. Mark Poynton right now, a little further up, is being challenged pretty heavily by Jamie Dyke, who also wants to get moving. So Poynton really holding Dyke up at this point, you'd have to think, as he looks to find a way past. So Dyke will take the big move up the inside as they come down towards the hairpin. Not quite close enough to make it stick, but he's just reminding Poynton, hey, check your mirrors, I'm right here, and I want to get past. So that move will be coming. You can see already Walker has closed to within 9/10 and very quickly reeling in Matt Vanderkran. So the top 3 will be in battle again very, very soon. We'll take a look a bit further back. Peter Sattler has Jeff Arnold and Mick Clifton on his tail. There's battle for 18th coming through the hairpin. And the 3 drivers all closely matched. Just ahead of them as well, the 2 Quantum Racing entries, James Hardy and Todd Martin, with Alex Geddas squarely in the middle of them. And just ahead, you've got the 2 Velocity Racing entries of Jack Anderson and Jordan Ferguson, the 2 teammates up 10 positions and 7 positions respectively. Keep in mind, of course, there are pit stops to come here, a single compulsory pit stop required. So these drivers will be starting to think about a bit of strategy around that, I'm sure. Maybe a bit more of a wait for a potential safety car. Now, I don't know. What do you reckon at this point, Josh? Do we expect these drivers to maybe run a little bit longer than they did in race number 1?
Yeah, I think you will see him run along. There's definitely no problem around needing to change tyres. I've mentioned it so many times though, Jared. We absolutely know that the undercut works in these cars, as we do now quickly jump forward and see Kiedis put a move on Hardy for a pass there for 15th. So although now unfortunately it looks like Martin got himself out in the weeds on the way through that
James
turn
Hardy.
there.
James Hardy's ended up way
it was
wide.
too. No, you are right. I do apologise. And yeah, this such a shame there. You the last thing you want to do when you get past is make an unforced error, which Hardy did. But back to my point, Jared. As we see just in front here, another car just pushing too hard into Melbourne. So these guys, no doubt about it, they'll be winding the brake bias further and further back as the track dries out to induce that turn in that we need in these cars. And unfortunately, just being caught out by. Starting to push too hard and, finding the opportunity and, where can I brake deeper and how far back can I wind my brake balance. And before you know it, unfortunately, cars pointing the wrong way. I did see we've got Hardy and Minogue, by the look of it, in the pits now. So I was just mentioning that the undercut works in these cars. Those guys are going to get on fresh tyres and fresh fuel and look to run home from here and hope to put some quick laps in while they've got some clean air and start to get going. But I think overall that we would expect to see, slightly longer, certainly than lap 9. And Jared, just as I was thinking about it, you were quickly moving the cameras forward. We have absolutely seen Wayne Walker catch up to these guys. So we now have a genuine three-way battle for the lead, and Jamie Dyke has extracted himself from being tucked in behind. I do
John
forget
Latham,
who it was.
I think it was. John Latham, he was stuck in behind for a little while there.
John Latham. You are absolutely correct. And Jamie Dyke has extracted himself from that. And we do now see these guys tearing off down the track. And all four of those front four cars doing either 33.3s or 33.2s. So we are absolutely seeing the match for pace. I've just got a little feeling though, Jared, that Wayne Walker is match for pace because he's being held up, not because that's his genuine pace. When he did have a little bit of clear space, he was a significant amount faster than both Weismer and Vanderkram. And there is definitely something that Vanderkram doesn't like about this setup in these conditions on this track, because he is not extracting the speed out of it that we're used to. And the challenge now for Walker is in these cars that are so difficult to pass in. How does he manufacture a pass against someone, as good as Matt Vanderkram? Really, I think the opportunity is to get a fantastic run here through the chicane and down towards Melbourne. So he'll be doing everything he can. We do see him get a good run, but all of the cars get a good run there. And I don't expect to see a dive on this lap. Still far too far back to make a dive, but we will see him catch right up onto the back of Vanderkram, try and get the car rotated and get on the loud pedal as fast as possible. And we start to see that accordion effect come into play as Vanderkram's just able to get on the gas a little bit earlier on the way out of the corner due to being in front. And it's to be expected. As we see now, Wayne Walker absolutely had enough of the lap times that he is doing, and this is where we'll see, Jared, just how effective or not the undercut is. Obviously, Wayne Walker feels like he's being held up, so he's dived into pits. He's going to take his medicine now early. He's going to look to put his fast laps in straight away, get out in front, and then manage that gap to what will be faster cars towards the end of the race. As we quickly jump all the way back to 20th, as we see Caparonis and Dave Coleman going at it, absolutely making a mockery of the track limits at the chicane while they are battling hard together. As we see Coleman now move through to what is 21st position, so that will not be a number that he's used to or enjoys having beside his name, but another pass done, and a guy that had an accident on the last lap of race 1 and then unfortunately involved in an incident at Melbourne hairpin on this race, Jared. He'll be pretty frustrated, and he'll be doing everything he can to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see James Hardy straight into the side of Andrew Hoffman's number 12 Southern Cross Racing entry. Thankfully, not too much damage to Hardy's car. I don't think the same can be said for Hoffman's. He's going to need to get some repairs done, I'm sure. And he's just entered pits as we've taken a look at that, so he'll be in. Anthony Weismer going into pits now as well, out in front. So the laps starting to get mixed up a little bit there. What has happened to Matt Vanderkram? He's had a big incident on that final turn, and I'm not quite sure how or why, but he's ended up with some huge damage. We will see if we can find exactly what has happened to Matt Vanderkram to cause that.
It's not the state that he wants to see that car in, and he'll be very, very happy to know that he's got a quick repair up his sleeve. We see a huge number of cars in the pit lane, and Jared, not at all surprised to see this with Wayne Walker diving to the pits. These lads would know just how big that undercut can be, and it really does force your hand sometimes. So Weismer and Vanderkram out the front, they saw Walker go in, and they knew that they had to get in as quick as they could and resume the fight. Interesting to see when we can find a replay, just the amount of time that Vanderkram lost. And here we see it. We've just joined a little bit late there to see what exactly happens. But Vanderkram definitely involved in in some form of Vanderkram losing it all on his own, just trying to keep the left-hand lock on to make sure that he makes it into the pits. And so that is going to see Vanderkram absolutely buried in the pack when the pits cycle ends up cleansing itself. So we do see there, obviously you have to hold the left-hand lock on to get across to the pit lane, and Matt Vanderkram there, obviously got out of that without any further issues, but so close to being involved in a very large incident. And we do now look at the pit lane, absolutely chock-a-block full of cars. Rick Vigor now through. He's going to be loving life at the moment. Heaps of clear track. He has got somewhere in the vicinity of 13 seconds of track free in front of him. He's up 14 spots. Alex Kiedis behind him up 21. You really do start to fly on a bit of a high, Jared, when you get to these positions, and and everything's working for you, and you look down at the dash, and you've got plenty of clear track around you. Maybe you're putting in good lap times, and you look down and you're like, yeah, I'm, up 14, 21 positions, and you're definitely basking that glow before you have to serve the reality of going into the pit lane. I do notice just at the top of screen there, Jared, another car facing backwards at the entry to the pit lane. Couldn't quite catch who it was. Maybe one of the Southern Cross cars, but one of the other guys attempting to get into the pits and just making another mistake there. The 69 car of Caparonis, not sure whether that was attempting to get into pits or just a genuine mistake, but
I think he's just overcooked it.
He will be absolutely gutted at that mistake, and taking the time needed to get everything up and going. So we're really starting to see the pit stops really start to happen. Wayne Walker, not surprising at all to see this. He is the first car with a pit stop to his name, and the very next one, Jamie Dyke,
of course,
0.3 of a second in between them. So there they are there on our screen. It's taken a couple of laps to cleanse itself. Obviously, we had that incident a few laps ago where Jamie made a mistake and unfortunately gave Wayne a whack in the side. Jamie did the right thing, and he pulled up and he let Wayne get back through, and they resumed their racing. But sure enough, they're now back nose to tail, and Jamie Dyke is look. It'll be clearing, Jared, but I reckon about 10 minutes ago, the inside of that car was filled with a mist about the same colour as the wheels. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's still a little frustrated at himself. Jamie Dyke's not the sort of guy that usually makes mistakes like that. And I think that he'll have a bit of a point to prove here in proving that he can get a pass for the lead done. And if any of the other fishy guys saw Matt Vanderkram facing the wrong way with no front bumper on the main straight, they will have got a message straight through to Jamie Dyke. This is a fantastic opportunity to grab a race win, get some points, and extend that, or close that gap at the top of the championship to Matt Vanderkram. Just a little bit of a difficult run there through the chicane, getting caught up with another car, but these guys, they've got 10 laps now, so these laps count down really quickly, Jared. A minute and a half, it sounds like a little bit of time, but with the first half of the track being so flowing and so few passing opportunities, you really do just get through that part of the track to set yourself up for the two passing opportunities at the end of the lap, and you don't realise how quickly those 10 laps are going to disappear.
Scott Rankin, unfortunately, not quite far enough ahead to stay out in front after his pit stop. I was hoping he might be able to pull it off there, but unfortunately, just taking a little bit more time in the pits than he had up his sleeve. And look, it was always going to be tough. Only had about 25 seconds over Wayne Walker at that point, so it was not going to be enough to keep him out in front. Anthony Weismar now pulling John Latham along with him as well, a couple seconds back from Wayne Walker and Jamie Dyke, but these drivers certainly out there and setting the pace again fairly quickly. Rick Vigar, given his moment in the sun, he is enjoying position one right now. He is unfortunately, though, the last driver yet to take that compulsory pit stop, so Look, I don't know if he's hoping for some kind of safety car miracle here. I'm not quite sure what miracle is going to deliver itself to him. It'd have to be a enormous incident with Wayne Walker and Jamie Dyke or something of that sort of calibre to give him an opportunity to get in and out of the pits and stay out in the lead. But you know what? Let's give him the moment here as he comes into the pits. This will be all it takes, I'm sure, for Walker and the like to make their way past. But you never know. Maybe we've put enough of a commentary curse on them that Walker and Dyke come together here on the main straight. I don't know. We wouldn't wish that on anyone usually, but it would be nice to see Rick Vargas send it all the way home for a podium position. Probably not going to happen at this stage, you'd have to think.
No, you wouldn't, and you know how good to see a different Angry Birds car up the front. Obviously, that's no shade being thrown at Matt Vanderkran, but Matt's Angry Birds car gets plenty of attention and time in the sun, and great to see Rick Vigor up the front there, having a couple of laps lead to his name. These guys, though, difficult to tear your eyes away from it, but we find another battle. Vigor and Coleman are scrapping it out, so absolutely not surprised to see Vigor come out there. I was doing the math before, and that's right about where I expected. Coleman, though, on nice warm tyres, being able to dispose of Rick Vigor pretty quickly. We'll see whether Rick has the ability to get tyres up to temp and start the challenge. We do now move forward. Jamie McKnight caught in between Dean Logsdale and Damien Cairns. Those guys, Cairns up 9, Logsdale up 3. Logsdale probably hasn't moved forward as far as I might have expected. We jump back to the front. We see there a pass for the lead, but it looks scrappy again, Jared. It looked like Jamie Dyke. It would be interesting to just go back a little bit more. Was that a Wayne Walker mistake, Jared, or was that a little bit of a tap in the bum from Jamie Dyke? These guys are absolutely going at it. If you try and tell me that there's not sheep stations on the line, these blokes would tell you otherwise. I'm interested there. Just a little bit of aggro in the middle of the corner there from Wayne Walker. Could have been a single monitor thing and not realising exactly where Jamie Dyke was. Could have been a little bit of frustration as well, and just like just one of those, hey mate, I'm not sure that I really appreciate how you've been passing me tonight. But no matter what, Jamie Dyke now, he's out the front. He's pulled 7/10 immediately, so it'll be interesting to watch the lap times. Has Jamie been held up behind Wayne for a little while? Can he start to escape up the road? We have seen a change for the lead, as we do now see the 474 car.
David Logsdale having a bit of a moment. That last turn really catching a lot of the drivers out tonight, isn't it? I thought maybe it was the weather in the first race, but something about just the change in camber on entry to that final turn, it seems to have caught a lot of drivers out and finding themselves just sliding sideways through that turn a little more than they perhaps intended to. It's certainly been a bit of a hotspot this evening here with the Alliance Sim Racing at V8 Supercars Series.
Yeah, it is, and we remember that these cars don't have ABS or anything like that, Jared, and a lot of the guys, at a hairpin like that would be hard on the brakes trying to pull it up, but also feeding it gears to try and slow it down. And would not surprise me at all if you start to under-rotate those rear tyres with just a little bit of compression lock, and as soon as that happens, it's absolutely all over. We are now focused pretty firmly on the battle for 8th. McKnight, Logsdale, Cairns, Vanderkran. There's a name that we're not used to seeing with 2 digits beside their name for their position. And Scotty McCune out here doing everything that they can with 7 laps to go to absolutely get stuck into it, rub some panels, swap some colours, and see who can come out in front. I'm not really sure, Jared, to be entirely fair. What I will say, Damien Cairns up 9 spots. He's having an absolutely cracking race, and it would be good for him and his championship if he can nab a couple more. But some genuinely fast guys in front with Dean Logsdale and Jamie McKnight to climb over.
Yeah, absolutely. The lap time's certainly not massively different back in the pack here compared to out in front with Jamie Dyke and Wayne Walker. The whole field here, honestly, we've said this so many times, just such a quick pack of drivers, no matter where you look throughout the field. And we are lucky enough to catch a few battle packs form up like this. Look at the 5 of them on their entry to the Melbourne hairpin, just spreading out beautifully. It makes some great TV as we catch them on their way down. A little bit of a wiggle there from Dean Logsdale. He tries to get the power down and stay on the back of Jamie McKnight, but McKnight starting to turn the screws on the pack behind him and just open the gap a little further, give himself some breathing room as he makes his way down the home straight as they start lap number 20. We've got plenty of battles going on throughout the pack. Todd Martin further back is still into it with Jeff Arnold. These guys have been going at it along with Jordan Ferguson for quite a few laps back here. We'll jump forward though. Damien Cairns has put the move on Dean Logsdale and has managed to make it stick out of Redgate and through into Hollywood. A very, very interesting spot to actually pull that off. I do wonder if perhaps Cairns has just taken advantage of Logsdale losing a little traction in the rear end there and not being able to get the drive down, because it's an unusual place to make the pass under any other circumstances. But for Damien Cairns, I don't know, maybe he's heard you there, Josh, and decided actually, yeah, we'll pick up another spot, thank you very much. He's just going to have to hang on to it for about 6 more laps.
Very much so. What I can tell you, Jared, is that when an opportunity presents itself when you're driving a supercar, you take it. You grab it with both hands. Doesn't matter whether it's a normal passing position or not. If you find yourself up beside another car, you absolutely have a crack. And that's basically what he's done there. He's just got the nose in, found himself just a little bit of a gap, maybe a slight hip and shoulder on the way through. But that's what we love about supercars, is their ability to get stuck into it a little bit. I'm genuinely surprised, Jared, by Matt Vanderkraan's lack of forward movement in this race. And to be fair, actually a little disappointed that he had that accident. We're not going to get to talk to him and find out exactly what has gone on, because it's just not the race that we expect from him. But talking about races that we expect, we saw Wayne Walker incredibly fast a few weeks ago. I can't remember exactly what track it was, Jared, but just so fast a few weeks ago. Jamie Dyke, we saw how fast he was last week, and these guys are absolutely going at it. Wayne Walker has pulled the gap in. As we do now quickly have a bit of a look at the replay here, and unfortunately a huge accident for Dean Logsdale. He's going to have to he's going to potentially try and head around an entire lap.
That's a big ask.
I would not be surprised to see a safety car if that car needs to pull up and tow. But for now, we race on. And what we see is our leaders still about 0.2 of a second out in front. I'm not 100% sure, Jared, whether this is some fantastic race management skills on display by Jamie Dyke, or whether he has managed to get in front, but Wayne Walker is genuinely faster than him, because Jamie Dyke very, very quickly snuck this lead out to almost a second. And then Wayne Walker has genuinely been faster and coming forward. Given that Wayne Walker there has attempted a pass, I would suggest that Jamie Dyke is holding him up. And as we do start our 21st lap, I think that the reality of the situation here is that Jamie Dyke either needs to get his foot down or he needs to get real good at defending real quick.
Yeah, look, just looking at where we're at in terms of laps, Jamie Dyke about 8 laps into that set of tyres. We know that these tyres on the supercars do fall off a bit and then start to come good not too long after that. I do wonder, given that Wayne Walker took his tyres a couple laps earlier, I wonder if Wayne Walker is actually in that sweet spot of the second wind for this tyre set, and Jamie Dyke is just waiting for his to come back into play a little bit. It's usually around that 8 lap mark, isn't it?
It is. It's potentially even a little bit earlier, but it's a good call out, and we, straight away again we see Dykes now out to, 7/10, we'll call it. It's a genuine seesaw battle here, Jared, and I'm not 100% sure whether it's a bit of racecraft and protecting your car and your tyre and making sure that you've got the equipment to fight at the end. Or whether it's a genuine challenge. Unfortunately, poor old Dean Logsdale doing everything he can to drag what is left of that Team AJR car back to pits. He has made it to pits, he has made it to pits, but I'll be interested to see here, Jared, whether Dean has previously used his fast repair, given that he is still there some 16 seconds later. I think he is, and I will be surprised to see Dean Logsdale make the end of this race, if I am 100% honest.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very long stop for repairs. No, he is out though, 16 seconds. So it looks like he's managed to do the fast repair and maybe a fresh set of tyres, if my maths is any good. So thankfully for him, he's back out on track and won't collect a bunch of points, but certainly will finish the race tonight, which is not bad considering how hard he did hit that wall. A huge effort to make it all the way around Donington Park with a completely busted front right corner on that Gen3 supercar. Wayne Walker, I tell you what, from sitting right on Jamie Dyke's tail, he is all of a sudden just starting to show signs of a little bit of struggle. Hasn't managed to put a move on at this stage and hasn't even looked close to doing it. So, yeah, I am wondering just how much Jamie Dyke has kept in reserve at this point for the last couple of laps. He knows that Wayne Walker is going to be pushing very, very hard to make the pass as we get towards the dying stages of this race. Big slide through into the corner there as they come on out of the hairpin. Jamie Dyke losing quite a bit of time, and this is an opportunity for Wayne Walker to look to the inside. Now goes to the outside. He's going to try and force something through Goddard's here. Right on the tail of Jamie Dyke. A little bit of contact, but that's not going to help him make the pass, and Jamie Dyke lives to fight another corner. It's getting tighter and tighter though, isn't it? You know, the minute we start to think that maybe one of these drivers has it in hand, the other turns around and goes, no, actually I've just been taking a breather, I'm straight back into it. Let's see though if Jamie Dyke does try and use the quantum racing car here, just put a bit of a barrier in place. Nothing doing there, not the right time or place for it. So he's going to have to contend with Wayne Walker right on his tail. Big moment for Jamie Dyke. That might be just enough to let Wayne Walker get alongside as they come back up the hill through Schwanskirchen and up to McLean's, and contact there. Wayne Walker trying to turn and Jamie Dyke just forcing him to the outside. There's a lot of panel rubbing here. This could end in tears if they're not careful, and you can start to see that famous red mist descending a little as we get closer and closer. Just a few laps here left to finish off race 2, and Wayne Walker desperately wants to get through and take the win.
What I can tell you is going on here, Jared, is some absolutely classic Supercars defence as Wayne Walker absolutely sends it through the chicane. I'm not 100% sure that he made all of the track limits there. Jamie Dyke saw what was going on and immediately dived to the inside. But Jamie Dyke, watch it at home, folks. He is doing an absolutely fantastic job of 100% parking his car on the apex. So no matter what move is going on here, he's slowing up on the apex, and he's just making sure that that with Wayne Walker tucked in behind him, that Wayne can't get the drive off the corner. So we saw it a lap ago. Wayne Walker attempted the over-under, and Jamie Dyke held him up and bumped him. And then when Jamie made that mistake during that lap, we saw it again. Park the car on the apex of the corner. Don't give the driver behind anywhere to accelerate. We do now see a change of position for the minor step on the podium as Anthony Weismer makes it all the way forward to third position, although he does have Mark Poynton very closely behind. So these guys are fighting hard. Maybe not quite as hard as the guys out in front, but certainly doing everything they can. And Weismer will be absolutely desperate, I would suggest, Jared, to hang on to that position that he's got at the back end of the podium to achieve something tonight after what was probably a win gone begging in the first race. We now see Jamie Dyke has pulled half a second on Wayne Walker. Wayne Walker once again going as hard as he possibly can through that chicane, pulling over a tenth of a second through that corner alone. Jamie Dyke has got it stopped into Melbourne and has got the drive off with a little bit of wiggle there. So Wayne Walker will have slightly better run up to the last corner. We'll see whether there's any more defence. We are now back having a bit of a look at Weismer, who has got himself over half a second to the car behind as it just closes down now to 4/10. But we have started the very last lap. The opportunities are dwindling very, very quickly for Wayne Walker. We have two fantastic battles on for the podium, Jared, and I think this one's the one that's heating up. Weismer looks to have just a little bit more of a gap to Poynton than what Dyke is going to have to Walker. These guys are going to go the whole way do not think that Walker is going to be prepared to hang around and wait. He is closing right up. He's within 2/10 now. You don't need to worry about what the time is, Jared. You can absolutely see it here. There's less than a car length in it. Far better drive off that corner. Jamie Dyke immediately has to defend and make sure that he can get it to the apex. He's going to slow it up. He's going to hold Walker behind him, and now they head down to the chicane. Walker's been faster through the chicane every lap for the last 3 or 4 laps. This is where Walker needs to be ready to make the move properly. We see a move on. Jamie Dyke's aware to it. Just gives Walker a little bit of a bump on the way into the corner, Jared. That's a fantastic move just to unsettle that car. And unfortunately, Wayne Walker gets a little bit of wheel spin on the way out. We set ourselves up into Melbourne. Walker making sure that he gets a better drive. He's immediately closed that gap back up to less than a car length. Jamie Dyke now has wheel spin everywhere. These guys are absolutely on the limit. The last corner, the last opportunity. Jamie Dyke's defensive. He sets himself up. All he needs here is a little bit of drive, and unfortunately for Wayne Walker, just absolutely lighting it up out of the corner. A fantastic battle to the line. Jamie Dyke prevails. Wayne Walker fighting every step of the way to second place. Anthony Weismer, a little bit of redemption, taking the last step on the podium. Jared, I couldn't take a breath there. That is just a fantastic way to finish this race. I'll hand over to you to talk through the rest of the finishing positions, but what a race.
A massive final couple of laps there. Jamie Dyke absolutely getting pushed to the wall by Wayne Walker. Back and forth throughout, probably the last 5-6 laps there. But a stellar victory for Jamie Dyke. Well deserved, certainly well earned, and I'm sure when we get a chance to chat to him in just a moment, he is going to be sweating. That was one of the hardest finishing battles I think we've seen, not just this season, but certainly in the last couple of seasons here with Alliance Sim Racing. And certainly Donington Park delivering much closer racing than perhaps I would have predicted. We said it at the beginning of the broadcast, this is not a track that is particularly suited to the Gen 3 Supercars making a pass, and certainly demonstrated though that it wasn't anything short of impossible, as Jamie Dyke just planted that car everywhere he needed to be. Some very hard racing right throughout, and I think if these cars were in the hands of any lesser drivers, I reckon we would have seen quite a few more incidents there, probably with Jamie Dyke coming together, I imagine, with Wayne Walker. But you know, in this sort of company, this is the quality and level of racing that you can expect. And Jamie Dyke absolutely all over it. Alistair Bales in the chat, welcome to the coverage. This season is full at the moment. There is absolutely a Discord though. Keep in touch with us. Do send us a bit of a message. I will see if I can get you a Discord link in the comments of this video a little later on. But the next season will be your opportunity to get in amongst this with these drivers. We are absolutely at capacity with almost 40 cars on the grid every single week here with Alliance Sim Racing. And I tell you what, they keep delivering racing like this. I am more than happy to keep bringing it to you, because this has been an absolutely phenomenal second race for Jamie Dyke. Hats off though to Wayne Walker. The consistency here tonight, a 1-2 for him across the 2 races is going to be huge championship points for him, and we'll have to take a look and see how that leaves him sitting. I'm just waiting here because I'm expecting Jamie Dyke to use the rest of his tyres. He's known for it. We're getting close to that time, I think.
I have a feeling, Jared, just by looking at the behaviour of that car, that Jamie Dyke may be entirely out of fuel. So potentially he didn't necessarily want to push that hard on those last couple of laps, but just a phenomenal drive by Jamie, and that's not to take anything away from Wayne either. Some of the finest display of supercar driving that you will see on display tonight. A wonderful job by those guys. Wayne Walker, I expect, will be frustrated at coming second, but probably in a level of amazement at the job that Jamie Dyke did. As we do see now our race results come up, and as we very well know, Jamie Dyke and Wayne Walker out the front, very close together. A 5.5 second gap to Mark Poynton. I do not believe, Jared, unless there has been something that's happened in the background that we weren't aware of, it looks like Anthony Weismer has dropped a long way down. I do wonder whether he has copped an X count penalty on the last lap, because the results that we are seeing are Mark Poynton in third, Scotty Rankin in fourth, in front of Michael Stewart, Jamie McKnight, Damien Cairns, Matt Vanderkraan down in eighth, Scott McEwen, Rick Vigor rounding out the top 10 after his time in the sun out the front, leading this race for a few laps. John Latham, Peter Sattler, Mick Clifton, Brian Minogue, Anthony Weismer, who will be absolutely gutted after a couple of tough races tonight. Dave Coleman equally had some challenges tonight. Jack Anderson and Jeff Arnold rounding out the 18. As we do see our guys there have all put in such a fantastic effort. I'm very, very interested to understand what has gone on with Mr. Weismer down in 15th position, whether that has carried through and is the actual result. Jared, I'm not sure whether you can see anything on your end that I'm missing, but that's a shocker.
Look, I can't, but as a guess, given that he's showing us finishing just about 40 seconds back, that lines up pretty closely to a black flag not being cleared or something similar. So I can't see an incident count that might have contributed to that, but we'll try and get some more info on that. But the winner in that particular little battle as a result is Mark Poynton, and he joins us in the booth now. Mark, welcome to the comms booth. First of all, congratulations on a stellar couple of drives this evening. Although you haven't finished with a race win, certainly picking up a bunch of points. Massive battle with Anthony Weismer there through the last few laps. Any idea what's happened to land you on the podium here?
Have we got you, Mark?
Sorry, Jared, I am having some troubles hearing. I apologise for whatever reason you guys are coming through my butt kicker and not through my headphones.
Well, that's a bit unusual and certainly not how I generally intend to interact with the drivers. But hey, something a little bit different. Why not, mate? If you can make anything out at all at the moment, talk us through the couple of races tonight, because you did have a cracking couple of results and certainly going to be good for your championship standings. But that second race, a huge battle with Anthony Weismer for quite a few laps. You're sweating a bit at this point? Looks like we might have to.
I don't think that we're going to get Mark. Unfortunately, that's a real shame. We'll look to talk to Mark later on. I think now it's time that we welcome Wayne Walker into the booth. Wayne, welcome along. A fantastic result tonight. If my memory serves me correctly, a first in race 1 and a second in race 2, accompanied by an absolutely phenomenal battle for a number of laps there with Jamie Dyke. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, how are you feeling after those 2 races?
Thanks, Josh. That was pretty intense. That whole second race, it was just pretty much flat out. We were backwards and forwards, and it was intense.
Saw what looked to me like a little bit of high quality defensive driving going on there from Jamie. Did you feel like you potentially had a bit more speed and you were just looking to find a way through?
It sort of seesawed backwards and forwards. Like, he'd be quicker for a couple of laps, and then I'd be quicker and catch back up. But there was just nowhere I could sort of get up the side coming into a corner. So just had to sort of wait for a mistake, and it didn't really happen. So
well, look, it probably doesn't make it feel any better for you. But I'll tell you that from a viewing perspective, you blokes both put on a fantastic display. Look, we didn't get to chat to you at the end of race 1, so let's cast our mind back there. Talk us through exactly what those conditions were like, particularly at the start. Pretty wet, maybe not as wet as qualifying, but how much tiptoeing were you doing out the front there in that first race?
I think in the first race, on the wets, it was pretty slippery, and then I think I pitted about lap 10, and pretty much from the time we were able to swap to the slicks, there was enough grip out there, and it was pretty good. You just had to stay on line. Like, the minute you put a tyre offline, it'd just lose all grip.
It's evident, mate, that tonight you put on a bit of a clinic. We're going to let you go and celebrate with the rest of your team. Congratulations once again on what is a fantastic result. We'll just check in. Have you got anyone that you need to thank before you head off? Anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just to the league. You know, without all the guys that sort of help run it, we wouldn't be here racing. You guys for the broadcast, like always, first class broadcast. All my teammates for all their help as well, and all the other competitors as well, because we wouldn't be here without them either. So yeah, but as well as our sponsors as well, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box and Lock Narang, Modern Deck. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, mate, do you have a fantastic night? The last thing that I'll mention is that I absolutely think that all the people that you thank, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys putting on a fantastic racing, and that is exactly what you did tonight. So you enjoy your time in the sun, mate. You get back and enjoy your celebrations with your teammates. We will now look to enjoy some time to have a bit of a chat to Jamie Dyke when we can get him into the comms booth. We do now have our feature race winner in the booth. Jamie Dyke, welcome along. Congratulations on what was an absolutely fantastic race.
Thank you. It was that one I had to work for. That was hard.
Yeah, it looked hard, mate. One of the things that I saw from my privileged position up here in the comms booth was some first-class defensive skills on display. Talk me through just how much you had to defend and how much you really did think that you were potentially going to lose that top spot.
I wasn't sure if I was going to lose the top spot. I just essentially, by the time it got to the last 4 or so laps, our tyres were rooted. Mine was rooted, Wayne's was rooted. So I pretty much knew that I had to cover the inside. So he couldn't get a better drive than me, essentially. And that was it, because we were lighting them up everywhere.
It was impressive to watch from out here. Talk us through earlier on in the race, mate. You went for a move at the Melbourne hairpin, and it looked like a bit of rear locking and clattered into the side of him. Looked like you took the opportunity to redress that, mate. You knew that was a bit of a mistake and wanted to get back to racing.
Yeah. I completely forgot as the track dries, the marbles start building up, and I got on them, and that was lit straight into him. We spoke after the race. I apologise to him, and I'll cop a points penalty for that. But the gain from being P1, I think I get 8 points over P2. So all in all, I gained quite a few points on Vanderkrant for the championship, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. If we think back to race 1, you had a really good result there as well. And at the end of that race 1, Dave Coleman was absolutely putting the pressure all over Matty Vanderkrant and got through on him, and then unfortunately on that last lap made a mistake. But I made mention in the broadcast that maybe there was a little bit of team chatter going on and potentially some extra vigour in that battle, given the fact that it was your championship rival. Did that factor into it much? Were you guys plotting and scheming and trying to do the team thing, or was that just Coleman being an absolute racer's racer and had his nose down and wanted that position for himself?
That was all Coleman. Coleman had mega speed here. He just his mistake at turn 1 really cost him, and he really wasn't happy after that one. But I was definitely thinking about it, but Coleman, he just wanted to push forward and follow me through the field.
No, it was fantastic racing, and it was pretty impressive seeing the fishy cars up there together, and really disappointing for Dave to suffer that mistake, and then of course a couple more mistakes or issues in race 2. But mate, for you, an absolute congratulations tonight on a couple of fantastic results. I can't wait to see what the points look like as we head into the back end of the season. I think it's safe to say that we genuinely have a battle on our hands. I will let you go back to your team and celebrate in just a minute. Before we do that though, is there anyone that deserves a big Fishy Motorsport shout out?
Obviously, I'd like to thank our team sponsors, West End Motor Group, Infinity Designs, Precision Sim Training, DC Shades, and Battery Warehouse Early Beach. And I'll give a shout out to Coleman and Kenny Latta. And Dave Kirby. We put in a lot of laps preparing in the wet, and the practice paid off for me.
It was easy to see, mate. Thank you very much. Congratulations again on a great night. The best of luck for the rest of the season. It is going to be a huge battle to the end. I can't wait to watch it. I'm sure Jared Cole is the same. So you have a fantastic rest of your evening celebrating. Jared, as we do move on and we think about the rest of this season from your perspective, mate, to me, it looks like this is just shaping up to be a battle for the ages. But what do you reckon? Are we on for a good one, or is this all setting us up for a little bit of a trick?
Oh, look, we are looking very, very close indeed. Let's take a look at the standings after the preliminary points. This is, of course, not including any penalties or fast lap bonus points from this evening, based purely on the finishing positions. And very much provisional. Jamie Dyke and Matt Vanderkraan neck and neck at the front of the field, not too far behind Jamie McKnight. Mark Poynton as well, not a long way off the back. In fact, we might try one last time, see if we can bring him in. Mark Poynton, do we have you now?
I hope so.
There we go, mate. We can't get past the opportunity to have a chat to you because a bit of an unexpected podium for you, third place here. Do you have any idea what happened to Anthony Weismer and how you managed to snatch a little bit of a podium position from him?
I don't, mate. So if you can shed some light, I'd be very grateful.
We'll try and figure it out. I'm hoping that there's someone in the chat who might be having a bit of a conversation with him at the moment. My money is on a black flag somewhere that wasn't cleared, but God knows where it was. In any case, not to take away from the rest of your race this evening, because you had an absolute cracker. Let's talk about race one, starting on the dry tyres. Obviously, a bit of a risk, didn't quite pay off the way that I'm sure you'd hoped, but to come back and finish, if memory serves, it's sixth in race one. A pretty stellar result considering how much you must have struggled while the rest of the field was out there on wets.
Yeah, it was pretty hard and a little bit disappointing at the start of the race to watch everyone on wets go past. It was a gamble that I think myself and Logsdale sort of took, and I guess it didn't pay off, but that's all part of the fun. Just had to get my head down and try and concentrate, try not to make any mistakes. It wasn't mistake-free, but happy to get back on the dries or stay on the dries in the second stint and come home with a reasonably good result from a poor start.
Well, I made the point, Mark, during that first race that, when you take one of those big gambles on strategy, that being able to finish somewhere in the vicinity of your start position would still feel good. How hard were you working in that first stint to make sure that you didn't go backwards? Because I think you undersold it a little bit there, talking about the fact that there were still some mistakes. I reckon that looked like some of the hardest work in a supercar, slick tyre on a wet track. I reckon that there would have been a fair bit of seesawing going in on that steering wheel, mate. Just talk us through, give the people at home a bit of an understanding. Just how hard was it for you?
Yeah, it was very difficult. It was like racing on ice. You had to just be very careful with any steering inputs and very gentle and quite patient with both the inputs, both braking and steering and acceleration was all a juggle. But again, I put myself in that position, nobody else. So it was good to sort of, I guess, maintain that the car did come back to me after sort of 5 or 6 laps that it started to feel a bit bit more grip when the tyres had heated up and the track was drying. But yeah, certainly the first 5-6 laps, weren't easy.
It's a fantastic result no matter what, and we are just having a look here at our championship positions on the stream, and you have bounced all the way up to 4th. I would describe your season, mate, as probably a little bit under the radar. What about you? How do you feel you are at this point of the year? And are we expecting to see more as the season goes on? Do you think that there's more results like this, or are you along for the ride and seeing what you can grab?
Oh no, absolutely. I'll be pushing hard and trying to get up the pointy end as much as possible. There's some pretty quick guys, and Jamie Dyke's extremely quick, and you got Matty Van der Kraan and the rest of the boys too, with Wayne Walker and Logsdale. They're all quick. Hopefully, I can have some good weeks like that and mix it up the front with them. And if I can, I certainly had a couple of mistakes in race 2 as well. So if we can stop doing those, I feel like I could at least be consistently running up in that sort of top 5 with those guys.
Yeah, no, that's that's good to hear, and I think that congratulations needs to be given not only for your results tonight, but for sneaking up into that top 5, mate. It's been a fantastic season for you so far, all things considered. Look, we will let you get back to celebrating with all of your team, but before we do let you go, is there anyone that deserves a big old Frog Leap Juice Racing call out tonight?
Oh, look, absolutely. You guys, thank you for the broadcast. I always watch it after the race, and you guys do a fantastic job. Also, the guys that run the league. This is my first season in the league, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's well run, it's well done, and I'm having a ball. And then, from a team perspective, obviously, Juiced Energy Drinks, Stodhor, Soot Speed Gloves, and Racecraft, our sponsors.
Thank you very much, mate. You have a wonderful night. Congratulations once again, a fantastic result, and we look forward to seeing more from you for the rest of the season. Jared, we can see there on our screen some really close results. As you pointed out, though, penalties still to be applied, but I look at that, 6 points at the top of the table. Jamie McKnight, not far away. That's another name that I would suggest this year has flown a bit under the radar. He's been there or thereabouts every race without any real flashy attention grabbing moments. Brian Minogue, another name, up into the top 5. So genuinely, some names floating around, Jared, that when you think about ASR and you think about the fast guys and who's been there and who's been thereabouts, there are some genuine people that are just sneaking away under the radar and accumulating points, and they're the people that, in my opinion, you've just got to watch for, because you never know when they're just going to appear at the top of the table when you least expect it, and snag a genuinely good championship position.
Absolutely spot on as always, Josh, and we've got plenty more to look forward to with quite a bit of racing left in this calendar. We head next week, of course, to Barber Motorsport Park, which promises to be yet another round full of some very tight racing. We've got 10 rounds in total this season, so we're really only just coming up on the halfway point. To see it still so closely matched, though, is really just, it's testament to the skill and the level of racing that we do see here, when realistically anyone in that top 10 is still in there with a pretty solid fighting chance. It's been an absolute pleasure, of course, covering the action here from Donington Park with you tonight. Josh, thank you so much for jumping back in the booth with me again this week. I think we'll be seeing you back again for next round, I'm sure, won't we?
Stay tuned on that one, but thank you very much for having me along. I do look forward to being back in the booth sooner rather than later. And I think that tonight, really, what a fantastic night. Quintessential English weather, quintessential English track, quintessential good quality supercar racing. I've had a great night, Jared. I'm sure you have as well. Thank you for having me along, and for everyone else out there, we hope that you have a fantastic evening. Have a safe Easter this weekend. We hope that you have the very best time with your friends and family. For now, though, we're going to say goodnight. Say hello to your mum for me. Stay safe, and we will see you next week.